town in Katagum local government area of Bauchi State on the same route also collapsed on 19th of August 2024. From what I saw when we inspected the said fell section with the governor of Bauchi State and the level of flooding that are built up, it is not surprising that this section also failed. While we rely on the government of Bauchi State to see what palliative are to be provided in terms of emergency works on the road, the ministry had commenced the process of redesigning the fell section of the road to be presented to Mr. President for his kind attention. We sincerely sympathize with people of Northeast and Northwest zones in particular, indeed all users of the said route over this natural occurrence. We assure them that a permanent solution will be provided as soon as the rains subside. We must emphasize that these road failures are purely due to climate change, which has nothing to do with the quality of the road already completed to the satisfaction of Federal Ministry of Works. We are monitoring all the federal roads, especially within the states where flooding is forecast to occur. Thank you and God bless you. Now to the business of today. Let me have slide 1. The status of a road and bridge project executed by Federal Minister of Works. Let me start this presentation by highlighting the status of road and bridges being executed by Federal Minister of Works at the commencement of this administration in May 2023, and a report on the achievement we have made up to date, pursuant to the renewed hope mandate of Mr. President, and how it is impacting on the socio-economic development of Nigeria. Next slide, please. The present administration inherited a total of 18,932.5 kilometers of ongoing projects, with a total of 2,064 number of contracts. The total value of all the ongoing projects as at May 2023 was 14.424 trillion. Amount satisfied is 4.734 trillion. Amount paid was 3.122 trillion. Amount owed contractors for certified works as at that May 2023 was 1.612 trillion. The funding gap to complete all the inherited projects is about 13 trillion as at May 2023, and will be more than 16 trillion when all projects are reviewed in line with the current market realities. Due to the removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira, though it is very sound economic decision of this administration, and considering the fact that some of the projects have lingered for between 5 to 18 years, consequently, the projects are being reviewed to match with current market realities. This position excludes all the new projects under the Renew Hope agenda and the 4 legacy projects. So the presentation is going to take this form. Next slide, please. The Renew Hope mandate of the Federal Ministry of Works includes the planning, designing, construction, and maintenance of federal roads infrastructure nationwide. This is critical towards attaining national economic growth and contributing significantly to the movement of people, goods, and services, as well as provision of security to citizens. It is based on this mandate that the ministry is tirelessly building and maintaining roads across the country. There is the importance to the agricultural economy of the nation, and of course, when we talk about hunger, the Renewed Hope road sector is very key, as a cure to this issue of hunger. Next slide. The other very key importance of road sector development, like improvement in trade and commerce, reduction in transport costs, reduction in travel time and vehicle operating costs, employment generation, improvement of security, increase of mobility and productivity, enhancing of connectivity, economic growth and quality of life in the communities, boosting of tourism, provision of access to healthcare and educational facilities, stimulation of government's interest in provision of socio-economic amenities to our rural populace, thereby turning rural villages into modern towns. These are the details of inherited projects. And if you look at the inherited projects, you find out that we have the NMPC Phase 1, which is about 15 projects. We have NMPC Phase 2, which is about 44 projects. We have Sukuk funded projects, 66. We have PIDF projects, which is 3. We have other tax credits, like Dangote, BOA, Mainstream Energy, NTA, and so on and so forth, totaling a total of 25. Multilateral counterpart projects, 4. Major projects and branch route, 47. And you see all the projects, you see the total amount, 14.424 trillion as inherited. You see the shortfall of completed projects in terms of debt to contractors, 1.612 trillion. Next slide, please. Let me commend Mr. President very, very highly. When we came on board, we noticed a very terrible trend all over the country. A lot of roads, due to very unusual climate change, flooding problems, a lot of roads and bridges were badly threatened. Roads were cut into 2, federal roads, constituency roads, they were all cut into 2. And we appealed to Mr. President, and we put together 260 emergency projects all across the 36 states and Abuja through the controllers of works. And we spoke to Mr. President about it, and total cost was 217 billion. And Mr. President immediately approved, and it was included in 2023 supplementary budget. And as we speak today, can we get to the next slide? About 90% of the works have been executed, and Mr. President has graciously released over 80% of the funds. And I want to say that this is very serious emergency intervention by Mr. President, because no matter how beautiful a road is, if any part of it is threatened, a saying says that a chain is as strong as the weakest link. So we've been able to strengthen the links in most of these locations where we have these problems. And we commend Mr. President very highly for this his kind intervention. The breakdown of the projects zone by zone in the next slide. You can see the projects, you can see the amount, earmarked for each zone, and the total amount of 217 billion. Next slide, please. This slide is talking about the 2023 supplementary, budget that, was approved when we came on board. And you can see the projects here, like reconstruction of Abuja local road sections 1 and 2. You can see the budgeting. And I had said to the National Assembly that this budgeting is not something that we can use to achieve anything. If you look through the entire 2023 supplementary appropriation, we will not see major budgeting that could significantly impact to improve our road sector. And so, next slide, slide 14, the next slide, you'll see the projects in 2024 appropriation, including the amended 2024 appropriation. We also didn't have much success in terms of the appropriation. You see that very few projects, have 5 billion and above appropriation. And again, it will not impact positively on the road sector. But thank God for the wisdom and the ingenuity of Mr. President, who created Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund, and it was incited in the 2024 amended budget. That is where our hopes for road sector improvement, definitely renewed. Next slide, please. That's the 2024 appropriation. Next slide. You can see the amended projects in 2024, budgetary, and it's been, passed, and there's a lot of improvement in this regard. And what the National Assembly did here in their wisdom is to look at ongoing projects and then try to put some funds that we, significantly improve the milestone completion. Next slide, please. Now, this is the funding models of Federal Ministry of Works, and I know questions will come from here, from this meeting. The old traditional method of funding highway projects through the annual budgetary provision, but we've seen that it's quite very difficult, because when you talk about geographical spread, you talk about political interests and so on and so forth, then it is definite that budgetary provision alone, without, very well articulated milestone mindset to complete some of these projects, will never solve our problems. So over the years, budget provisions seem to be inadequate to address the challenges of highway development. The ministry therefore evolved several alternative funding mechanisms to address the project funding challenges. Some of the funding alternatives include Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, and we have 3 projects of this. We have one in the Northwest, and that is the Abuja to Kano project. We will say more on that, how far we've gone. We have the second Niger bridge. There are 3 components of that. The bridge itself has been completed, but the 2 bypasses that we utilize the bridge. So today, the bridge is not being utilized. And so the 2 bypasses are what, remaining. We've approached BPP as we have reviewed the project for us to do it with concrete and, as reviewed. Then we have the Lagos-Ibadan section 1 of Lagos-Ibadan of phase 1 being completed significantly. Beja is completed their section of phase 1. RUCC still has about 8.5 kilometers, Ibadan bound, Lagos bound to complete, and about 3 kilometers of wearing course on Ibadan bound. And that's all about the PIDF project. Sukuk project, there's been intervention by DMO by providing some fundings and targeting some projects for completion. You have the road tax credit scheme by an NPCL, an LNG, Dangote, BOEM, TM, Mainstream Energy Solution, JZI Industries, and the use of multilateral loans like the Cape Fee to Makodi project, Makodi to 9 Mile project that are ongoing, and of course the Renewed Hope Legacy projects under EPC plus F. Public-private partnership, we also have that. And so the total sum of 573, has been invested in road, construction and rehabilitation by Sukuk. And the idea is to achieve 2,812 kilometers of road recovery. But let me emphasize here that the Sukuk does not take up a project from scratch and complete. It's an intervention fund, meaning that the completion of such projects are a combination of a number of factors, including budgetary provision, Sukuk, sometimes an MPC tax credit scheme. Next slide, please. A total of 63 critical projects are being funded with the sum of 10 billion. So let's get to the next slide. And this is the distribution of Sukuk 2023 on the basis of quality of each zone getting 41.66 billion, targeting some of the projects that are close to completion. And, that is what 2023 Sukuk, is set to achieve. Next slide. Now we come to the big elephant in the room, and that's an MPC funding funded projects under tax credit scheme. People have misconstrued this intervention as if an NPC is involved in road construction. That is not true. Everything about these projects are being, evolved through the Federal Ministry of Works that have the statutory responsibility to carry out such projects. What an NPC is doing is utilizing the tax that is due, from the various companies under an NPCL, and then use it to fund this project. Yes, when we award, we supervise, we certify certificates, we send to FROS. FROS we check, and then we send to an NPC to pay. That is the way it is. And the total of 2.59 trillion was approved by Federal Executive Council. But let me say that this cost, without even prejudice to the fact that these projects are being reviewed, did not address the entire cost of this 6,358 kilometers of routes. It is about 40%. And when you look at the inflation, it could be downgraded to about 30%. So the total available fund for the project up to 2025 is 2.586 trillion. The review total contract sum to date due to inflation is 5.288. And so when you look at the review contract sum and the commitment of NMPC, you see that we have a funding gap of 2.70 trillion. Excuse me. So the total payment by NMPCL to date is 840 billion. The total outstanding NMPC funding approved by FEC is 1.75 trillion. The projects are spread across the 6 geopolitical zones as shown. Can you show us? Thank you. Yeah, thank you. You will see in phase 1, North Central has 24% of the entire projects. Northeast has 14%, Northwest has 28%, Southeast has 3%, South-South has 26%, and Southwest 5%. And you come to phase 2, North Central again has the highest again, 39%, Northeast has 9%, Northwest has 4%, Southeast has 7%, South-South 28%, and Southwest 13%. Next slide, please. Next slide. Other major companies like, LNG, Dangote, Bua, so on and so forth are also involved, and the funding exceeds the sum of 2.08 trillion, covering a length of 1,548. The one major project that LNG is involved is the Bodo Bunny. And today the project is reviewed to a total of 200 billion. And we've given them a target by, to Beja to complete this project within the next 12 months, starting from the month of, August 2024 and to end in August 2025. And this is a protracted negotiation, disagreement, but we have finally agreed, and that is being funded by LNG in Bodo Bunny. So if you look at the projects that are being funded, you will be able to see North Central, all the projects that are being there, and who is the tax credit funding it. Next slide, please. So these are being expressed zone by zone, which tax credit is funding which zone. Next slide, please. Go ahead. The Federal Ministry of Works, under its statutory responsibility over federal roads, introduced the Highway Development and Management Initiative. That's another mechanism, of achieving road sector under the public-private partnership to attract sustainable investment and funding in the development of road infrastructure and maximization of the use of assets along the right-of-way. The rationale behind the private sector engagement is to provide alternative source of financing road development and management. The HDMI is expected to, amongst others, bring order bring order, accountability, and profitability entrepreneurship to the operations, management, and maintenance of federal highway. The emergent concessionaires will recoup their investment through tolling and non-tolling revenue as may be negotiated. Some recent activities under HDMI 1 and 2 and the other unsolicited projects are listed in the next slide. This is what we inherited, and some of this PPP arrangement, we are closing the deals on some of them. You can see the route, you can see the company that are doing it. We were about to tow the Cape Fee to Makurdi under China Harbour, but we decided to shift it to end of September. So we started tolling in October 1. Let me emphasize here that the most important aspect of this HDMI is the continuous maintenance of our routes. And so the public should understand that it's not just to generate money, either for the concessionaire or for government, but the important thing is how do we build a road and we continuously maintain our roads. The budgetary provision for FEMA or Ministry of Works, that's so insufficient to address the maintenance of these roads. So one key thing that some of these projects, under HDMI will serve is the idea of maintenance of the road. Now, beyond maintenance of the road, we also bring in security architecture to our roads, and we are, insisting that under these HDMI projects, we are going to have solar light throughout the length of the project. We are going to have toll gates, of course, then we have toll stations. Within these toll stations, we are going to have CCTV deployed within the entire length of the project and being monitored within these toll stations, so that road blockage will be a thing of the past, and then we'll be able to give a response to any distress call within the carriageway in not more than 10 minutes. Within this toll station, we have a lot of relief activities, like we have the medical, we have tow van, we have security outpost where we have a number of our security men. Then we watch the CCTV camera and respond accordingly. And then we have supermarkets, we have restaurants, we also have mini hotel within this location, and of course parking. One of the things that also kill our roads is the very terrible parking of vehicles on the carriageway. The carriageways are not designed for static loads. Even in Lagos, you see a lot of bridges being occupied, by static loads through these big vehicles and trailers. This is very discouraging. Burning of tires on our roads, very discouraging. So this HGMI, we address all these challenges of the road, maintenance issue and beyond, the road maintenance, so that people can travel with joy on our roads. Next slide. That's the section. That's the second phase of the projects we have also advertised, and we are closing deals on some of this project. But let me emphasize that the challenges of HDMI or PP, because people, sometimes they darken, counsel without knowledge. Say, okay, if the cost of project construction is very high, why don't we, try PPP? Yes, there are two issues about PPP. One is that we, as Minister of Works, we are determined to construct durable roads, not roads that we construct and they will go down in 5 years. And that's why a number of roads we are using continuous reinforced concrete, pavement. And we have also banned the use of, surface dressing on our shoulders. The way you pour S125 and then put half-inch chippings within the shoulders. This is the sure way that our projects or routes have been failing. Because when these chippings, are gone or water percolates through them and they go to the underneath of the carriageway housing the asphalt, and then the asphalt is gone. And so we are replacing them with either hard shoulder, executed with, binder cords and wearing cords, or we are using reinforced concrete to build the shoulders. This is very, very important. So the cost of road construction, due to the market forces, is not cheap. That's one. And that is a major setback for those who want to invest in PPP. And then the cost of funds in the market is also very high. So these are two factors that are militating against, people rushing to engage us in this PPP. But notwithstanding, and very few people are also companies and corporate bodies are also, talking to us. But we have been very careful to sieve out those who are just there to probably take us to court and begin to make trouble to make money. We are looking out for such people, and we work very well with those who are very serious. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the projects that we have advertised for PPP. Yes, go ahead. Next slide. Okay. Now, the big elephant in the room, and that is the 4 legacy project of Mr. President. Under the renewed hope agenda of the current administration, 4 legacy highway projects have been carefully selected for implementation to improve road network and the train services connectivity across the 6 geopolitical zones to boost socioeconomic development. These projects are not just roads and railway development, but are life-changing projects with the potential of improving the livelihood of citizenry and turn around the economy of the country, especially in the following areas: agriculture, mining, tourism, commerce, industrialization, foreign direct investment, and security. The ministry will enhance the execution and completion of Mr. President's legacy projects, namely construction of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, construction of Sokoto-Badagry. The Lagos is about 750 kilometers on 6 lanes. Sokoto-Badagry is 1,068. And this Sokoto-Badagry is a spur. It's connected to the Lagos-Calabar Highway. So it's a spur, which we'll shortly see. And then you have the Calabar passing through Abuja State in southeast, to Benue State, to Kogi State, to Nasarawa State, and to Abuja. And it is Trans-Hara, road. Let me say that the Lagos-Calabar Highway was the dream of the present president when he was governor of Lagos State. And 25 years later, God has given him the grace to actualize it. And that the Sokoto-Badagry is 48 years, and that was the dream of, President Obasanjo as military head of state. Shagari also tried, and today it is the grace of God upon President Tinubu that he is the one that is constructing this Sokoto-Badagry, superhighway. And then the Calabar-Abuja superhighway was a dream of the colonial masters. And again, that is lasting over 60 years. And the president is a divine president that God has called to actualize this. And then you have the Akwanga, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe route, which is 439, which we have integrated. So you can see the Sokoto Badagry, at the topmost left-hand side, Ilela, and then it will now stop at Badagry. And then this Badagry is being connected to the Lagos-Calabar, highway. There is a connect of 77 kilometers between Badagry and the Lagos-Calabar highway at Ahmad Bello, Cheneziro. Now, the alternatives to connect this 77, you pass through Ikeja, and many houses will be gone. So the best engineering discussion going on is to do underwater tunnel within the 77 kilometers to connect this. But this phase of the connection will not include the train track. After all, the train track is not starting at Cheneziro of the Lagos-Calabar, it's starting at Chenej 14, which is, at Jakande Estate. And so we are not interested in the connection of train right now. But you can see the loop is connected, and that's why it's called the spur of the Lagos-Calabar. And you see the Lagos-Calabar is ending somewhere at Calabar. And it's taking off again with about 99 kilometers, passing through to Ebonyi State, Baindibe Beach. and it is there with about 119 kilometers within the Ebonyi axis, going through 66 kilometers within Benue axis, goes through as a Bagana, a bridge which is about 1.35 kilometers that will be constructed, and then ends in Abuja. Now, when you're in Abuja, you see at this point in Apo there, you see a road that is from Abuja is going to Maraba. Right now, we are constructing a road from Maraba to Kefi. But from Kefi to Makodi is already completed. Then if you follow this road, Maraba, Kefi, then going to Makodi, you get to a point at Akwanga. And that is where the fourth legacy project is taken off, and taken off to Jos, to Bauchi, and then to Gombe. I inspected the Gombe project, Gombe-Bauchi route, on 15th of this month. And this is apt, and we believe God that this president will have the grace to actualize them. Next slide, please. And you will see the distribution step by state of the projects. You can see Lagos-Calabar Highway. You will see that within Lagos is 103, Ogun State 26, Ondo State 40, Edo State 47, Delta is 90 there, Bayelsa 167, Rivers 129, Akwa Ibom 105, and Cross River. We announce that we have procured sections 1 and 2 up to the first 103 is procured and is ongoing, and there are a lot of benefits on this Lagos-Calabar. One is the wind energy. We've deployed the SIA and the consultant through the Ministry of Power to study the wind energy coming from the sea, along this corridor. And it's going to be a mind-blowing success. Let me also say that this road is done under concrete, and so it has 50 to 100 years lifespan, and it has very low heat emission. And so federal government will be claiming, carbon credit on this. And we also put in a solar light throughout instead of the normal electricity. And we're also going to claim, millions of dollars also on carbon credit. We have a lot of advantages in terms of this coastal highway that we have at the middle of it, 25-meter corridor of train track. And so there will be train at the middle of the road of 3 carriageway left and right, and then train at the middle of it. Presently, we have the Apapa Wharf, which is a very shallow wharf. And this Apapa Wharf cannot take a lot of big ship, whether bringing petroleum products or a number of goods, to Apapa Wharf. So they bet at a very, far distance, and transshipment, is happening as we talk today. And that is costing the federal government a lot of money. But through the ingenuity of Mr. President when he was governor, he dreamt of Lekki Deep Sea Port. And that project is ongoing right now. And the advantage of this coastal highway that is passing through that place. And so a lot of our goods are now going to be cleared within the deep sea port, and then it is evacuation corridor, and Nigeria will be saving countless millions of dollars. These roads, as they pass through cities and states, are also, being connected to the existing, roads, carriageways. So the importance of it cannot be overemphasized. And you look at the Sokoto Badagry, we also have deep sea port at Sokoto Badagry, and it is connecting to Trans-Sahara trade routes, to our neighboring countries. And you have about 63 dams within this corridor. And these dams are going to be utilized by Ministry of Water Resources and Agriculture, for irrigation, and for agricultural output. And it's a major corridor for agricultural output. And you can see the distribution. We have procured the first 120 kilometer within Sokoto State, and the project is ongoing. We have 258 kilometer within Kebbi State, and we have made memo to FEC for approval, and the project went through, competitive, very highly competitive bidding, and for those who will be interested in the procurement process, both Lagos, Calabar, and this one, they're faultless. And we also have the SIA preliminary approval to start, clearing and earthwork. And so that is that. And then, of course, you have the third one, which is also a spur of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. And you can see Cross River there. You can see Bonyi, Benue, Kogi. And presently, we are completing design. And by the month of September, we will start procurement. And again, it's going to go through, competitive bidding. Then the last one is the one that is, Nasarawa, the Akwanga, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe Road. And you can see the distribution. And the importance of this corridor cannot be overemphasized. So, these legacy projects that are going to be live transformed, it's going to be a catalyst for the transformation and the $1 trillion, dollars economy that we are looking at within the lifespan of 8-year administration of divine President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yes, you can see the bar chart and you can see the distributions as it passes through states. The Lagos Calabar, you can see Sokoto Badagry, next one. And you see the Trans-Hara, from Cross River to Ebonyi down to Abuja, and you see the Akwanga, Jos, Bauchi. And again, you will see the distribution of the legacy, projects. And you can see that, when it comes to zones, the North Central has 26%, the Northeast has 10%, the Northwest has 16%, the Southeast has 5%, the South-South has 24%, the Southwest has 20%. And that is the distribution of the 4 legacy projects. And then if you come between North and South, you find out that the North has about 52%, which is 1,414 kilometers of the 2,735 kilometers, while the South has 1,321 kilometers, or 48% of the entire legacy projects. That's the distribution between the North and the South. And I think Mr. President must be commended very highly as a detribalized president. And this is quite encouraging, and God will help him to achieve this good intention for the good of the country. Next slide, please. And that is how it is traveling. You can see the coast. You can see the journey that is making within the coast. The yellow was a previous design, and we brought the design close to the coast so that we can enjoy the benefit of tourism and housing estates, the wind energy, and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. That is the construction that started at Cheneziro Ahmad Bello Way of the Lagos Calabar, and we've achieved about 3 kilometers so far of this concrete pavement. It's a sight to behold, and it is good for people to visit, and they will see the revolution that the president has brought to bear on our road sector. Next. You can see the reinforcement. People say that we are doing decking on roads, but that's how it's supposed to be, so that for 50 to 100 years, there will be less maintenance and the road will still be there with a lot of benefits. And people thought that concrete, pavement will be slippery. You can go to Ebonyi or go to Uro, Shuki, Apapa, concrete road, or just ride on this. There's nothing like that. It's very durable. The grip is there, and it is desirable, and that is what a lot of the Western world they are using in their road infrastructure. And of course, in Go to India, 95% of the roads in India are made of concrete. Go ahead, next one. This is the Sokoto-Badagry, the detail of Sokoto-Badagry route. Go ahead. There's the detail of the Trans-Saharan trade route. Next one. And that is the Akwanga, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe route. Next one. And so this is the details of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Next slide. We're telling you here that the highway, to Ibeju Lekki, that's the first section, 47.5, and it's connecting the Lekki Deep Seaport. Next slide, please. Next slide. These are the advantages which I already mentioned. This is the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Continued. Next slide. These are the importance. You have enhanced national integration, economic opportunities, and trade, economic connectivity. I've said all that before. Go ahead. Go ahead. And this is Sokoto Badagry. I had already told you the importance of it. The job creation is there. The benefits are also all there. And then you go ahead. And then you have the Calabar-Abuja superhighway, the Trans-Saharan route. Again, it has a lot of economic benefits. They talk about the rice basin of Ebonyi and the Benue and Cross River. You think about the yam production in Ebonyi, Benue. You think about the vegetable production, the fishery within the Kogi, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of routes within the economic corridor of this country, and has the potential to yield the positive result that this Rehope agenda promises Nigerians. Go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Now, we have selected two projects per zone, just to let you know just two projects, and to let you see what, the benefits in agriculture, trade and commerce, mineral resources, and that is what we are doing. This is North Central. You have Maraba Kefi Road, is being done by China Harbour, and we are rehabilitating the two carriageway. Go ahead. This is the Lafia bypass. This is Makodi Enugu 9 mile. And the new carriageway is being built, and the old one is going to be rehabilitated, and work is ongoing by China Harbour. Next one. This Abuja Lokoja Road. We have an interesting situation in this place. We have this section that was being done by Bulletin, but the Bulletin project was terminated before we came on board. And of course, they took us to court. And I commend the Honorable Attorney General and my PAM Secretary being able to agree on amicable settlement with Bulletin. And so we have re-awarded this section of Bulletin to be done on concrete pavement. Work is ongoing there. We have a section being done by Dantata and the RUCC within this section. And we are not happy that within 5 years, these sections, a number of them have failed. And so we have brought in a contractor to mill this section that have failed. And that is the milling machine that you can see that is ongoing, and work is ongoing there. We have Jito section. Jito has been on that road for 18 years. And so what we want to do in Jito section, even though we have selected 3 very bad sections and then under emergency repairs, and it's being reconstructed on concrete. But what we want to do is that project has stayed 18 years, how do you review it? So we tend to determine the project and they put it forward for fresh award. And so these are the issues between Abuja and Lokoja. Well, what we inherited was such that you spend 5 hours between Abuja and Lokoja, and that should not be. It should not be a journey that is more than 2 hours. And so Renewed Hope infrastructure train, has moved to this location. And we believe strongly that with the support of Mr. President, we should be able to get this road what it's supposed to be, and it's under PPP too. And so when we complete them, we're going to put solar light, we're going to put a toll gate, we're going to put service stations, and we showcase what a federal road ought to be under the Renewed Hope agenda of Mr. President. Next one. Next one. This is dualization of Kano Medugri. Quite very interesting. This Kano Medugri is about 375 kilometers, and it has sections 1, 2, 3. Now we went to inspect section 2 under the directive of Mr. President, where the road was cut into 2. And I thank the governor of Bauchi State who provided palliative measures. And we were on that road. We also saw another section that was worse than the one I went to inspect. And I was even afraid being on that route. I've never seen water ever like that in my life. That Bauchi-Jigawa section should actually be called Niger Delta, because the volume of flood that we witnessed there was unprecedented. But one funny thing is that they said throughout the history of those states, they never had flood within those axes. And so you can see the effect of climate change. The damage done on this road is quite enormous. The Kano-Jigawa section is being handled by Dantata, and I've been there for the past 17 years. And we issued them later that we are terminating that project. We have money in the amended budget, and we have sent people to redesign that section so that will be awarded. Right now, it is difficult to engage these 4 locations within this Bauchi-Jigawa that totally collapsed. And so what we have done is to redesign it and build bridge over there, and use reinforced concrete within the corridor of this floodplain. But also, very importantly, is that we're going to be working with the Office of SGF and then Agriculture Ministry, Minister of Water Resources. They should be turning this menace to advantage by creating multiple dams and then acquiring multiple, thousands of hectares of land, and then mechanize agriculture within this corridor. Because the land is flat and very fertile, and so if you now put up a fence, for example, take off 500,000 hectares of land, put up a fence, get security there, build some low-cost housing, and then create dams and irrigation, and then people will farm throughout the year. It takes money, but it's also what Mr. President, is capable of doing in addressing agricultural, needs, which already had started. So we must be able to turn this disadvantage to advantage. Like I said, I saw water, which I never saw before in my life. So the public is, encouraged that the Minister of Works is doing something about this. And unfortunately, I don't know if there is another route that links Jigawa with Benue, or somebody going to Medugri from Kano. But we are very much at attention. The moment the water goes down, we will take 6 months to construct the bridges to solve this problem. Next. Go ahead. This one is Numen Jalingo. It was suffering from funding problem, but the president has injected funds, to this now, and we're going to pay contractors so that we can see to the end of this project. Next one, please. On Northeast, you have the Adamawa Borno sections 1, 2, 3, and 4, in Adamawa and Borno State. We also have some improvement on our funding mechanism, and we're happy that this project will be completed. Next one. You can see the pictures, what we inherited and what is ongoing. Northwest. That is Zaria, Funtua, Guso, Sokoto Road. Very interesting project. 375 kilometers under an MPC tax credit. 4 contractors are there. We have at the Sokoto end, you have the CBC. Now the CBC, you can see concrete there, concrete road pavement. We have to redesign the 2 carriageway from Sokoto to Zamfara to be done on reinforced concrete, and they are doing fantastic work. But what we directed is that you follow the new carriageway and complete it to Zamfara, maintain the existing one, and then when you finish and the fund is made available, we have to engage on the new carriageway, on the existing carriageway, and turn it to concrete also. And then you now get to Zamfara, you get to Setraco. Setraco is working on asphalt, but the new carriageway directed that it should be done on concrete. And then you go further, you meet, is it Tractor? The Tractor is also on the same situation like Setraco, and the idea is that you complete the ongoing, the new one on concrete, and then now come to engage. And then lastly, you have the mother carts, which is also the same page. But the problem we've had on this corridor, especially within Zamfara, is a lot of kidnapping. A number of times we have had to stop job there because the contractors' personnel, sometimes they kidnapped up to 50 of them, and some of them have lost their lives in the past 2 months. And that is quite disturbing. Otherwise, these projects are moving on very well, and I thank Mr. President for his interest in this corridor. It's 375 kilometers by 2, which is 750 kilometers. It's a major corridor. Next one. This is Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano Road. Very interesting project. This is under PIDF project. Again, it's 375 kilometers, and it's, on 3 carriageway in each of the 3 lanes on each carriageway. Now, this project was started with 155 billion, and it is for limited rehabilitation. And about 4 contractors were given this project to do. Then, along the line, the past administration had to now terminate the contract of 4 contractors and brought in Chilobeja, and increased the scope of work to full rehabilitation, and a total cost of about 797 billion. And so before the last administration bowed out, they had completed 62% of the project with a total sum of 392 billion paid to Gilobeja. Now, when we came on board, Beja now wrote us and said we needed to review the project to 1.5 trillion. And the ministry, was so shocked and surprised. And so from September 2023 to about 2 months back, we engaged Gilobeja, and we had no real success. And so a number of key government officials were intervened, like the NTA, Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, the Chief of Staff. Eventually, we came to an idea to say, okay, let us, unbundle the project. And so we did, and we gave Dangote the first 38 kilometers by 2, that's 76 kilometers, of the 0 point on Abuja, Niger bound, or axis, and then the idea is for them to use, concrete to do it under tax credit. And this, project, has commenced, and let me announce that we've also added, at this 0 point, the road going to Kogi is so bad within that point, so we added another 2 kilometers there. We are now with the BPP for procurement. And then we also have The second section, thank you very much. The second section is the section that is the one we left for Abuja, and that is a total of 82 kilometers by 2, excuse me. That's 164 kilometers. And that was procured for 320 billion. It's slightly reviewed to encourage Abuja to this thing. Like the earthwork that was 6,000 is being reviewed to about 9,000 per meter cubed. And then the asphalt is slightly reviewed. All aim at encourage Abuja to complete their own section. And then the last section is about 17 kilometers, that is at Kano end. But when we get to the end of the project, we also have a road that is going to the airport, which is also in a very bad situation. And so we've added this little portion, so that when you drive to the end of this project, you should be able to drive to the airport and then be happy with it. So the 17th kilometer is being done on concrete, while the one going to the airport, the Alliance carriageway, is being done on asphalt. But let me emphasize that all the segments we have reviewed and awarded now is going to have solar light. And when we told these sections, we are going to incorporate the 62% completed. We are going to bring solar light to it, and then we will also sample it as what the federal highway ought to be. Next slide, please. This is Enugu-Onitsha Road. This is another very big issue. This is under tax credit of NTA. The total length of the road is 107 kilometers by 2. And MTN, well, we can say they have completed about 60%. And that is the Enugu bound, no, the Onitsha bound. Right now, we have a very terrible section on Enugu bound, and starting from the Enugu axis, 20 kilometers, and we are procuring it for immediate, construction. And that is what we're doing on that section. So I believe that the design must give me the proposal today, because we have some money in the amended budget to tackle this. But it doesn't stop the MTN and the tax credit ongoing there. But let me announce that we are not quite happy with the progress of work being made. And we are doing everything to fast track, the construction and the completion of this road. Next slide, please. This is the Enugu-Port Harcourt. Enugu-Port Harcourt, they are in 4 sections. We have, starting from Enugu, the CGC has 61 kilometers by 2. I can say that the first carriageway has been completed, to about 95%. The second carriageway is having funding issue, but they have not abandoned the site. And I thank the governor of Enugu State, who is willing to intervene on the construction of the second carriageway. But our agreement is that it must be full rehabilitation in accordance with the design of Ministry of Works, and that he can tool it together with our ministry so that he can recover, and then the public will benefit, with a smooth ride, on this road. And then you have the second section, which is done by Setraco. Setraco has completed theirs up to Umuahia Tower. And from Umuahia Tower to about the train rail, it is the Arab contractor. Arab contractor is completed, other than the Port Harcourt bound that is remaining wearing course, less than 3 kilometers. And then the above bound is remaining 5.5 kilometers, and then you see this section is completed. Then from that rail at Aba down to Port Harcourt, that is CGC, and CCECC, and funding has been a very big challenge on this, but they have achieved about 30% on this project, and we are working with them, and we're also providing some funding. Like right now, we have about 10 billion in the amended budget for the entire stretch. That will go a long way while we believe that through the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund that this project will be completed. Next. This is Enugu-Abakaliki Road. When I was governor, I did the dualization of this road, but it wasn't completed. Within the Enugu-Ebonyi axis, we still have 21 kilometers that is not done. And the other sections, which is 24 kilometers to Enugu, has been awarded graciously by the hard-working governor of Enugu State. He's aggressively working on it, while the federal government is committed to full rehabilitation of the existing carriageway from Enugu to Ebonyi and down to a section of Ogoja, while the new carriageway of 21 kilometers is within the scope. And the project is satisfactory ongoing, and we are happy with what is going on there. Within the MNA axis here, a separate contract has been awarded for a flyover, and the contractor is doing fantastic work, and it's an indigenous contractor, and I'm very happy with the performances of our indigenous contractors all over the country. And it is the commitment of Mr. President to encourage the birth of very committed indigenous contractors, and they have not disappointed us. And we're very happy for that. If you look at the quality of the flyover, you won't spot the difference between the works of Beja, we can say Beja of yesterday, and what is going on now. So we're happy with them. Next. This is Lokoja, Benin, Warri. This is very interesting. Lokoja to Benin has 4 contractors. We have the CGC there. We have the Mother Cat, we have the Dantata, we have RCC. Due to very poor performance and unseriousness, we terminated the contracts of Dantata, RCC, and the Mother Cat. And we are before procurement to pre-procure each structure. But we are committed to only one category now. Along this corridor. Now we're digging about 1 meter, filling with lumps, sharp sand, and then putting stone base and of course 8 inches reinforced concrete. So, and that is the solution for this very terrible, corridor, where we have very high water table and then very poor subsoil structure. So, go ahead. Well, the East Road, of course, the Abuja Lokoja to Benin, Benin to Warri, and then Warri, you get to Bayelsa, you get to Rivers, you get to Akwa Ibom, you get to Cross River. That all part of East West Road. But let me say that we have a very interesting situation due to climate change, where this project completed, some of them under, NDDC, were cut into 2 due to very unexpected climate change and terrible flooding over there. And so within the wheel axis, we have deployed the local contractor, build multiple, culverts to take water from, the upstream to the downstream, and then now also concrete over there with reinforced concrete so that we solve that problem over there. And then you now come to Bayelsa axis between Bayelsa and Rivers. We have a similar situation under the ongoing contract of Centraco. So when people were saying that our intervention constituted a major contract, it's not correct. That project is still under Centraco, but it's not the fault of Centraco. It was what they inherited and are working very seriously. We have over 10 sections of that. But last 2 months, we have 2 sections that totally collapsed. And so the National Assembly, thought that the local contractor we brought to put relief cover was the major contractor. No, it's the Shetraco that is the major contractor. But they had a lot of such multiple failures, and they are doing their best. So let me assure, and of course we're assuring thank DDC and Shetraco and Rock Salt for their engagement within the sections. And we've restored the sections, but the intervention in terms of multiple covert and using concrete to concrete those sections will still be ongoing. So that is that, and come to Eleme to Ne, that is 15 kilometers by 3 lanes, times 2. And so the project was inherited, though nothing was achieved in terms of percentage completion under RCC. And then the traffic there should be the highest in the country. And the economic corridor there should say to be about the highest in the country. And so when we looked at the road failure and the substructure, we decided to redesign the project by digging almost 70% of the corridor and removing the bad subsoil and replacing them with lumps, with sharp sand and stone base. And now we are concreting, even though the pace of work by RCC is not encouraging. But we believe that doing quite a very quality work, and that our engagements will yield some result in terms of improved, work progress. And so when you move down to Akwa Ibom, you will see we are doing a bypass, within the Akwa Ibom axis, about 19 kilometers, with Jito Kamne, and this project is going through swamp, but it's under an NMPC tax credit, and work is moving very well. Then you now get to Akwa Ibom, where you have 3 contractors engaged between Akwa Ibom and the Cross River. You have the CCCC engaged in dualization. You have the Beja engaged in dualization, and Samatek. Now, of the 3 contractors, the local contractor is the best, which is Samatek. Not only that he has the highest percentage, achievement, he's also the only person that is using, Watergen, concrete paver, and that is doing fantastic work. And I want local contractors to take a bearing from this, local contractor and what other contractors, local indigenous that are doing. And I took the National Assembly Works Committee, and I say spot the difference between the quality of work done by Beja and the quality of work done by this Samatek, and I'm very impressed. And so we can do this. It's a matter of commitment and patriotism. And so the Beja, we disagree with their section in terms of their cost. And so if they are not acceding to our cost, which is very highly improved cost, we have no option than to terminate the contract and look for another contractor to do it. And CCCC, they have made tremendous progress since we got reviewed project from the FEC. So that's about the east-west route. I saw where Mazov says that, whether they say they'll start blocking roads. And so people darken council without knowledge. Mr. President has done quite significant work on east-west route to ensure that the entire stretch are motorable and, of course, durable. And the commitment of Federal Ministry of War is that whichever work we do, it has to have a taste of time between 50 to 100 years. Yes. Can we round up, please? Lagos Ibadan. I've spoken about Lagos Ibadan. It's under PIDF project. Go ahead. The damaged Top Mainland Bridge, we're happy with the appreciation of the public on what God has used us to achieve on Top Mainland Bridge. Today, we're extending this beautiful work because of, the appreciation being leveled, by the public. We extend it to Falomo, and so you will see the same quality of work. Time will fail me to talk about what we are doing Top Mainland Bridge, because what you could see is the superstructure, but a lot of work is going by Beja under the deck. So under the deck, we have a number of structural failures, starting from the deck, deflection of the deck slab. The piers are also being deteriorated by exposure of the reinforcement, and then the pier caps. And that is happening in the bridge, Kata Bridge, and the Top Mainland Bridge. The Eco Bridge is being totally rehabilitated after it was unfortunately burnt, and is being undertaken by Buildwell. That job is about 95% done, and it's quite an interesting work. But let me announce that the major work that is still not yet done, that is under investigation right now, is what is happening below the water in Top Mainland Bridge and the Kata Bridge. In 2013, second company was consulted to carry out, underwater investigation of the conditions of these piles. And what they found was very disturbing. In 2019, they repeated some selected piles, and it was discovered that the level of deterioration had increased. And today, we have committed, another company together with Abuja so that we can compare their findings to do total empirical evaluation of the conditions of these piles within the water. The piles were initially installed through skin friction, and under skin friction, the piles are held by the sand. And over the years, due to scouring of the river, underwater current, and of course illegal excavation of sand within the zone, the piles have been exposed, and that is very dangerous for the sustainability of the stability of the bridges. And that's why today we have shut down big trucks going through Top Mainland Bridge so that we can repay whatever thing that has gone wrong among these piles. And that is what is going on. And lastly, on the Top Mainland Bridge, we are putting CCTV cameras. We are having an observation room built below the bridge. And the idea is that if anybody wants to be funny on the bridge, we will use CCTV camera. And we have, mini boats we have purchased. We have, vehicles we have purchased. We are going to warehouse Navy, Army, Police, and local security within that place, so that the response time within the entire length and breadth of Top Mainland Bridge will be about 2 minutes. And this is going to safeguard lives for those who want to take their lives on top of the bridge by, plunging themselves into this. So this is what, we are doing. Can we have the new policy? So I'm rounding up here by reading what the new policy of the Federal Ministry of Works, have been, and that will be done in the next, 2 minutes. And so, the Federal Ministry has embarked on new policies to mitigate the poor pace of works and improve the services, the service life of federal roads. Some of these policies are listed: introduction of construction of rigid, continuously reinforced concrete pavement as against the flexible pavement where appropriate, especially where there is high water levels and poor subsoil structure. Reduction of claims for variation on price by contractor, which has consequently saved government money and reduced incessant requests for augmentation of project contracts. Removal of consumer price index from all contracts, thereby giving the government value for money spent on the projects. Introduction of uniform pricing in each zone to ensure fair rates are utilized for procurement of projects. Enhanced supervision of all ongoing projects, which requires all field staff to be on site. Introduction of whistleblowing on bad jobs by engaging stakeholders such as communities where the projects traverse, road users, etc., to monitor works executed and report where poor quality works are being executed. Engaging in priority projects within economic corridors, which early completion will spur economic growth. Engaging in completion of one carriageway before commencing the second carriageway for dualized projects. Sending regional directors and special project directors to the fields, to sites to supervise project execution, as well as ensure quality and timely project completion. Other policies include engaging with the Ministry of Steel Development for revitalization of light steel mills of Ajokuta Steel Company for production of 7 million tons iron ore for construction of it. Review, redesign, and rescoping of critical projects which that require immediate attention and funding. Establishment of the New Hope Infrastructure Development Fund to improve funding for critical highway projects. Commencing the second phase of the Highway Development Initiative, which will allow the financing, construction, and management of federal roads under the scheme. Expose subgrade, sub-base, and base costs for 60 movement and shift for government blessing. Sustenance of all other construction of the project under control. Road infrastructure anchored on detailed report of environmental conditions. Yes, I get a geotechnical report. To facilitate communication to top management staff. The state commission to facilitate ongoing projects before payment. In case of payment, all the states will be their funding. Challenge. We have challenges, like poor funding of highway include under fund for effective road maintenance. 52 billion 2024 for capital project which is inadequate to maintain 36,000 kilometers of federal road network. Poor lifespan of completed projects before this administration, public destruction of road infrastructure, drainages, bridges parapets, bridge decks, burning of tires on the roads, indiscriminate parking, cutting of roads, dumping of refuse on roads, medians, and drains. Inflation has affected execution of highway projects which require review to reflect current realities. Delays in project execution by some contractors. Prospects. Introduction of Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund as a sustainable source of finance for road projects. Tolling. The federal government has created a conducive atmosphere for tolling of Nigerian roads with the curation of ICRC and approval of the tolling policy. Legacy project. Introduction of 4 legacy projects as a catalyst for economic growth. 24-hour approval on demand by state government to construct federal roads and use Federal Ministry of Works HDMI program to toll the roads for mutual benefit of states and federal government. Where funds are available, contractors could be paid 30% mobilization and more funds approved for them under strict conditions to mitigate incidental project fluctuation as the practice in some states of our subnational. Conclusion. The successful implementation of Renewed Hope agenda in the road sector will require effective collaboration between federal, state, and local government as well as private sector stakeholders. Additionally, the focus on maintenance and rehabilitation will ensure that the road projects are sustainable, reducing the need for costly repairs and ensuring that the benefits are long-lasting. In conclusion, President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda in the road sector has the potential to transform Nigeria's infrastructure, stimulate economic growth, and improve the lives of citizens. The focus on strategic road projects, community engagement, and sustainability will ensure that the full benefits of the federal government investment in the road sector are realized. I want to commend very highly my very hardworking PAM Secretary and all the directors of the ministry and the staff. The Ministry of Work is no longer the same. It's a community of brothers and sisters with one simple agenda: to do the will of God. Thank you and God bless you.
Wow. Ministry, can't we stand up to give him a rousing applause? Let's stand to give him a rousing applause. That was indeed a masterpiece. Very robust, very comprehensive. Thank you, Your Excellency. Without much ado, we will go straight to question and answer. We have limited time of 20 minutes. And so one person, one question for just 20 minutes. Thereafter, the Permanent Secretary will round off with a vote of thanks. Let's set the ball rolling. Tell us your name, the media house you represent, then ask your question, just a singular question. Thank you. Tell us your name. Next, please speak to the microphone very gently. Next. If you have your question, yes, Chairman, correspondence.
Honorable Mr. Sir, congratulations on your 1 year in office. On behalf of the press corps members, we congratulate you. Thank you, sir.
Next.
What I wanted to ask, I want to add to what my friend just said. Actually, the Abuja Kefi road, that road, they have stopped at Nyanya, but I heard the minister say they are working on it. And we are told that the other contract is done because we went to Market to commission that road in 2018, November. They even say this expansion was going to reach Massacre. It was when all these other Niger, Morocco, and they came and they say we are supposed to have 5 lane on each DC. Then Fashola said funding was the problem. Now, they stopped there. I asked, they say some politicians are stopping the expansion at that place. Who built houses? That is why government could not proceed from Abuja Junction, that ahead to the other side. And the thing is now helping that area because it's a very busy road. But if you come in the evening around 4 or 5 now, the motors that come, the vehicles will jump back at that border. They cannot go beyond that place. So I don't know whether the contract has been completed or they will give
no, the contract is going. It's actually Maraba. Abuja to Maraba, we have good roads. So Maraba to Kefi is what you're talking about. Now, we have, you can call it 4 lanes. The design right now, and nobody will stop us. There is no infrastructure that will stop, the benefit of the public as far as road infrastructure is concerned. China Harbour is the one doing the job. And the total kilometer for them to join the Kefi Makode is 43 kilometers. And on one carriageway, they have completed 17. We had a meeting yesterday with them, and the directive is to maintain the second carriageway and they continue until they finish one carriageway. And that is what they're doing. But if you notice, you find out that the shoulders that were designed for surface dressing, we are using concrete to do it. And the moment the concrete is there and the asphalt is at the carriageway, you can be sure that the road will last even up to 50 years. Now, the traffic jam there, the solution is that we don't have a service lane. The project has not accommodated service lane right now. So when we finish at another expansion of the project, we are going to try and create service lane, especially within those market areas, and then put, what do they call it? The overhead bridge, pedestrian bridge, to take you from one point of the road to the other. And that is what is we're going to fence out with concrete the entire market so that the carriageway will be the carriageway. You put your throttle from Abuja, you can reach, Kefi without any interruption from the sides. And if you want to turn, you can go up, and then turn to the other carriageway. We know the problems. Nobody's stopping us. Nobody's diverting it. And under our watch, we only have, instruction from Mr. President and the fear of God. Next one.
Good afternoon, the Honorable Minister. My name is Daniel Daji and I write for the Punch newspaper. All right, so my question is this. There's a report that the federal government has been taking to court over the Lagos Coastal Highway. And we want to find out what is the government doing about this, and if we can know those who have taken the government to court, and would that stall the project? Thank you, sir.
Well, it's the beauty of democracy. But under the guise of democracy, we have some fraudulent individuals, who want to reap where they did not sow. we don't have one court case, we have over 6. But we are equal to the task. They want to socket their pipe, and that is all they're doing. We are paying compensation. We are following the gazetted right of way. We are following the corridor that is legally allowed for federal government. And so we don't know what they're taking to court. Now, some people were doubting the procurement. I've had to run even the figures, the cost of the project, at 4 billion, per kilometer. And I round what, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar was talking about, the comparison. And yet people still come to say, oh, this number of lanes in Egypt is 1.8 billion, and it is 300 kilometers. I mean, that can cancel without knowledge. You should be able to say something is white, is as white as what, Now, we have ESIA certificates on the project. That's number 1. Number 2, was the project listed in appropriation? Yes. The project is in 2023 supplementary appropriation. Now, the estimate, the budget is an estimate. What is in the budget is different from the cost of the project. And you can't split the project, but you can section the project. And so that has answered that question. How was the project, procured? Under the Procurement Act, there are 3, my PAM secretary is a procurement expert, and I have a very good DPP and good directors. But the project was approved by Federal Executive Council under restrictive, procurement. And it is in the law that when you have specialized project to do, where you have very limited people that can engage in such project, you can use restrictive, procurement. And the only place you will find where concrete was done and successful was in Ebonyi State under my watch. Otherwise, it was high-tech and Dangote that initiated concrete pavement, taking it to the next level, because what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR did while he was governor was an introductory part of the concrete road, and that is by the using of interlocking, concrete ties to do the roads in Lake VI, and is still sustaining, which is wonderful. And that's also where we took our courage and bearing. And so that is the procurement. And so you want to see what this company has done, you go and see a Papa Oshoki or Woreshoki project that hitherto was never, a success in terms of the flexible pavement that was used. And you see vehicles that had parked there for 7 days, but right now, under this kind of arrangement of concrete pavement, you see a very wonderful road, and that is standing a test of 50 years to 100 years. And so what next is this about the procurement process, this about ESIA, this about whether the project was appropriated, yes. And so they will come to naught, because what they thought we didn't have, we have it. And I'm also equal to the task. I fought many battles as governor of Ebonyi State. And so my name is David. And I'm not afraid of battle or this thing, but let them hear it and hear it well. That if they want to unduly benefit from the project by going to court, they are wasting their time, because David is there. Yes. And it is not affecting any project. Project is ongoing. In fact, the more you take us to court, the more we increase the pace of work.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister.
Yeah, just
okay. There's an indication. Oh, my name is Cornelius. I write for The Guardian. I'm asking this question because there's a protest that is going on in concerning the East-West Road. And I don't know, can you update us on that? Then number 2, the 9 miles road construction. I want you to update us. Yes, thank you.
9 Mile. Okay, it looks that you are just coming because they have dissected the entire length and breadth of East-West Road. But the good thing to add is that there is no more traffic jam, there is no protest. People are happy with what you're doing. On the 9th Mile, yes, we have a very bad section that is part of the road of China Harbour, Makurdi to 9th Mile. And we are engaging them to start the project in 5 locations, which they have done. And so with time, you will see very serious improvement within that sections. Thank you.
For lack of time, my name is Daniel Obodo, and I report for Extraordinary Online. Honorable Minister, before I start very briefly, you've been on the road for 365 days. I want to commend you for that. You've taken it with passion, working with your SA media, getting statements on daily basis. I want to say you're doing a very good job. Thank you so much for it. Honorable Minister, thank you for taking us down the memory lane. 365 days in just 2 hours is actually not enough. And we're proposing that if you have a time, organize a training, kind of training for us to SA. Let them take us on some of these, technicalities, that we need to understand so that we can study session 1, session 2, and all that. A lot of us don't understand it. And again, I want to welcome my friend who's been here before, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed. He was an SA for a long time. I was in this day when he was here. So you're welcome. You have a familiar face, and it's good on that. But my question is this, sir. You mentioned the legacy project, 4 legacy projects. You didn't give us the timeline of completion, number 1. Number 2, you expose this as being a pathway to economic transformation of this country. Spin-offs like agriculture, building of estates, and so many other things, that will help the country. Honorable Minister, you did not tell us the values of this, of the 4 legacy projects. And
the cost.
Yeah, the cost. Okay. Then lastly, sir, you listed some companies, some contractors like Dan Tata, Jito, Bulletin, that you said their contracts have been terminated, perhaps for lack of inability to perform. Honorable Minister, in the next coming highway development management initiative, are you still going to allow them to bid for the 30 road project that is oncoming? Thank you, sir.
First is you want training, you want to become engineer overnight. So you have to pay for it. But on a lighter note, yes, we're going to not allow you under the rain. By the first week of November, we have to divide the media into 6. And then get 6 directors or the zonal directors. They will take, the media people, through 2 zones or 3 zones at least, so that you'll be able to write, So I would like the directors and, of course, the media people to send their proposal to the PAM secretary. And so there is no further discussion on that other than this is the budget, and this is the timetable by November 1. And then by the end of November, we'll now do another press conference. This time you'll be the one speaking. And I'll be asking questions. The legacy project, yes. The project time is 8 years from May 29th, 2023. Add 8 years to it. That is the project timetable. And it's a divine time. The cost, each time we award, because we are allowed to award in sections, we always come to this thing to analyze the cost. The cost of projects in Lagos, Calabar is not the same cost of Sokoto, Badagry. It's not the same cost. So the cost for the 3-4 legacy projects are not going to be the same. But the transparency of the Minister of Works is such that before we send our document to BPP, we invite the NGOs, the civil society organization, the press, and then we read out the bidding documents of all the bidders. And so you will be carried along very seriously in the transparency of the procurement of these legacy projects. So that is what I would say, but thank you very much for your warm appreciation.
Only female here, please.
No, go ahead, allow them.
A brief one, sir.
Even if we are a bit out of, we still have 15 minutes. So we allow the last 5 minutes for the Prime Secretary.
The Minister, sir. My name is Joseph Undu. I write for daily independent newspapers.
Let me say that what we are doing in 2023 procurement, I want us to hear this. We are listing four projects per zone. 4 projects per zone. We have some of the recommendation here, and we want to give very serious budgetary attention to these projects so that they could be completed in 2025 and they have them commissioned by the president. That is one. Number 2, we may not allow new projects into our 2025 budget unless, otherwise directed by Mr. President. But this is his idea and the idea of Federal Executive Council. 2, we have directed that, each controller should look at, 5 intervention projects, that are not more than 500 million, per state, so that we can list them. Because, like I said, that a chain is as strong as the weakest link. If a road is so beautiful and is cut into 2, we need to fix it immediately. And this is the same thing we are doing with FEMA 2. And so that's number 2. Number 3, we want to put an amount to recommend to Mr. President. Out of this 1.6 trillions, can we do some, debt servicing? So we put some amount there. And then there are also some judgment debts we inherited. We also want to put it. And of course, the 4 legacy projects funded under the DUDOP, funding model, and the PIDF projects, they are all part of the, funding model. The other project, funding mechanism like an MP tax credit and the Sukuk and so on, will also be listed. So this is the focus for 2025, budget for Ministry of Works. Apart from maybe, we also be insisting with the National Assembly that we don't want new projects. Put money in the ones that you have, listed before, so that we can have them completed. We don't want multiplicity of projects. Today we have over 4,000 projects in the Ministry of Works, and by law we have to procure them. So we want to ensure that not only procuring them, we have to, work towards getting them completed. Your question, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Joseph Undu, and I write for daily independent newspapers. Sir, it is a fact that you are doing so much to improve our road infrastructures, but the activities of bandits are grossly affecting some of these roads infrastructure you have built. So I want to ask, what new measures do you have in place to stop the vandalization of bridge railings and the manholes on our highways? Is there any new ways of redesigning those manholes in such a way that those guys will not be able to vandalize them?
Yes, we are injecting, but we are not going to tell you the secret, behind it. But beside that secret, we also have the CCTV we are installing. So we are tackling it. And I want to thank the public because each time it happens, we saw what they are doing in Festac, where people are destroying the bridge parapet to just get reinforcement. The labor they are putting there, if they put it in meaningful work, they will be able to make more money. But it's just lack of patriotism and criminality. Look at the second Niger bridge. They went to remove, they went to remove the expansion joints. That's terrible. You look at Lagos, the Abuja Kano, they destroyed the median JC to look for reinforcement. We have also employed 2 generals, SSA Security, who is also helping us to form some, vigilante, surveillance over some of this critical infrastructure. But with the assistance of the public and the new measures we are implementing, and the ones we will not tell you here, we are sure to, arrest that menace.
Good afternoon, Minister. My name is Cynthia Egboga, report for Business Day. Okay, sir, you mentioned in your presentation, you mentioned that the funding gap to complete all inherited projects was 13 trillion as at 2023. Please, can you give us the current gap?
We projected that it could be up to 16 trillions. It's in our presentation. Because if you check some of the projects inherited by Mr. President, some have lasted 18 years. And so you talk about when dollar was 150 naira to a dollar. You talk about when AGO was 130 naira per liter. And then you compare it with what we have today. And so our take in such projects is, because it's very embarrassing, even taking such projects to fake. You come and say a project was 11 billion 18 years ago and it's 180 billion now. We believe our story. So the safest way is to have an agreement with the contractor, have it terminated, and then reprocured, in bits based on availability of funds. So the funding and budgetary provision are our guidelines now in any procurement or review of projects that we are doing. So you see some projects may be stepped down due to poor budgetary provision, but they are not terminated. When there is fund, we resurrect them and we go ahead.
In the absence of more questions, we will be inviting a very amiable permanent secretary, a renewed hope permanent secretary, transformative lead Yakubu Adam Koparmata, PhD, for a vote of thanks.
Thank you so very much, Honorable Minister, sir, my colleagues, gentlemen of the press. Good afternoon. It's really wonderful. And before I say my vote of thanks, may I kindly request that we give this an unusual, Honorable Minister, an unusual round of applause, please. You can see from his presentation, you can see the aura that he displayed about Nigeria and Nigerians. I would like to start by thanking God Almighty for keeping us alive to be here. It really has been a wonderful 1 year in the office, and during that period, many have died, many are sick. But God, in His mercy, kept all of us here alive. And to deliver this, and to deliver the promise of Mr. President, God Almighty, we thank you. We thank Mr. President as well for being supportive. This, our Commander-in-Chief, if you know what he does sit down and think. A road that has taken 18 to 20 years in the offing, and suddenly, because of political considerations, some people will still bring it that this man is not working. It's not been fair. It's not fair. We really, really wish to thank Mr. President for all the support that he has been giving us. The Honorable Minister, the directors, and myself do come to office Saturdays and Sundays, round the clock. And whatever we write, we request to Mr. President, he honors. And Mr. President, we thank you very much for all the support and for your uncommon commitment to Nigeria and Nigerians. To the Honorable Minister, you can see the working relationship has already transformed into family affair with the directors. This gentleman has made governance very easy. We come here with the heart to work, and work, we shall continue to work for the common interest, development and growth of Nigeria. Thank you so very much, Honorable Minister. To the members of the press, before I go to my directors, without you, let me tell you, nobody will know what is happening. I will urge you to continue in the interest of Nigeria. Forget about all the policies that will be played. Like some people will say, kindly put Nigeria first. We thank you for your commitment, for your service, and God, in His own mercy, will also value you abundantly. Thank you so very much. To the directors here, yesterday, two people retired, two directors retired, and I was moved to tears. Believe you me, up to that yesterday evening, the directors were still working, just to show you the level of commitment that they have on their job and for this country and for Nigerians. We thank you all for all that you've been doing. You are being seen, you are being heard, and we are not taking you for granted. We thank you so very much. Sir, to the National Assembly, believe you me, they have been cooperating with us. This is a challenge. This is a project, a Nigerian project that all hands must be on deck. And to National Assembly, we thank you. Their hands are already on deck and they are assisting. Thank you so very much for all the support, and may God bless Nigeria. God bless the President and Commander-in-Chief. God bless the Honorable Minister and all of us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Let me thank the media once again, those represented and the public for viewing this presentation in TVC, NTA, where it was covered live. Of course, those that streamed it live, I thank all of you. For those that came late, we have the soft copy we will give you, so you have nothing to lose. I want to thank you once again. Therefore, wish to request for us to rise for the national anthem. May we rise, please. Thank you. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle, honor and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children. Minister, you are too colorful, and the permanent secretary. I will be requesting just 1 minute group photograph, the two of you.